Preface. It was my husband's 48th birthday, on which Phil was informed by his doctor that he had cancer. The diagnosis was yet unclear. It was either lymphoma or small cell carcinoma, neither of which meant anything to us, apart from that C word, and of this we were certain. Very shortly after his diagnosis, Phil had made the decision to write a book about his journey and recovery from cancer. It became his passion and strong desire to share with the world how to conquer this massive mountain that was placed before him. He strongly believed that with faith and hope, miracles do happen. Coincidentally, Phil began to keep a journal some months before he was diagnosed, and then continued to document his story far more extensively as material for his book. The nature of his writing changed as the months passed. They began as notes on leadership styles extracted from his favourite books, to being more of content of his day, and then to an expression of his deepest feelings while processing what was happening to him, and finally, heartfelt prayer to his God. Holding on to this fighting passion to write his book was an incentive for Phil to keep up his fighting spirit and to one day be able to say that he survived cancer. Even on the final day of his life, lying in the hospital bed and being told that he would not leave this bed, Phil turned to me and said, "Don't forget to bring in my journal tomorrow, Tan, as this will be good for my book." This was the depth of faith that Phil continued to have and would not give up under any circumstance. Within days of Phil's funeral, I developed a deep knowing that it was I who would be fulfilling his dream and telling the story of his journey. My intention is for you to get to know Phil as I write this story, as he was a man whom I and others continue to describe as one in a million. You did not need to spend much time with Phil to be touched in some way by who he was as a fellow human, and this imprint is what I believe will remain with you as you read his words. Throughout these pages, from Phil's words and my own, you will walk beside us and experience how it was for both of us during those 5 months, and also how it was for me during the first year following his death. It is my wish that from this story you will also discover how goodness can come from what at times feels like the deepest depression. Much of the story has been put together from Phil's journal and my own extensive journal that we both kept during this time. Journaling has been a part of my life since my teenage years. It still is, in fact, and has been a major contributing factor to my continued healing whilst on this path, one I would often describe as pure horror. This was not supposed to happen in my life. As a little girl, my dream was to get married one day, to have babies, and to have my home with the white picket fence and live a happy life. There were to be no glitches in this picture of mine, as in my innocent youth, and with the gift of naivety, I did not yet understand that what accompanied the joys of life were also times of unhappiness and sorrow. Never would I have believed that I would once again find somewhere deep within a willingness to continue with the remainder of my life, to experience joy again, to eventually be able to say that this experience, whilst it has been my most traumatic, has also been my greatest gift. What originally began as a desire to fulfill Phil's passion of writing a book about his journey has now in fact become my great passion. When the time came, my words began to flow, and what accompanied these words were my tears. During the past 12 months, there has been nothing in my world that has given me a greater meaning and purpose to life than completing this book. Today, I feel at peace with our separate journeys, knowing that they were both triumphant in their own different ways. Phil triumphed in death, and I in life.